What is going on, everybody? It is Minus here from PantheonPlus, and some things are slightly changing up. I want to give everyone a heads up that Haya will be taking some time away from content creation. Wish him the luck in some of the stuff he's taken on in his IRL, and when that wraps up, if that wraps up, we'll see him back, but always going to be a part of PantheonPlus. Now, with that being said, we're going to kind of move on to a different way here, where I'm going to probably have more guests on, and you'll see a lot more solo content from me. So a little bit of a change tonight, but we're going to get right back to where we were with the Races of Terminus series talking about Halflings. Now, if you've watched our video before, you know that we follow a format because we really urge you to play along in the comments down below in YouTube. And also on Reddit and wherever we post. We kind of want to know what your feelings are. That's really what PantheonPlus is all about. It's about being able to BS, get the community involved, and talk about different aspects of the game. So the format that we're going to use is we're going to talk here about the race. I'm going to introduce that to you. We're going to talk about what the alignment probably will be. We're going to talk about available classes. And then we're going to kind of talk about what other MMOs or other things that you've experienced in media kind of remind you of the race. And then from there, I'm going to go ahead and rate it, in my opinion, on a scale of 1 to 10. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So the Halflings are a wood kind of dwelling race, very similar to Halflings we've seen in the past when you talk about their base lore. We've had Halflings in EverQuest, and almost every major MMO has had a Halfling or a being like it. It's the cross of a gnome and a wood elf, if you want to be honest. That's kind of what I look at it as. Now, as far as the alignment, they're usually people or folk that kind of try to get along with everybody, but also sort of stay within themselves. It'll be interesting to see what Pantheon ends up being, but they do seem to be a very vivid, colorful race, really cool buildings, so it doesn't look like they're hiding anything, and they're probably very social beings from what you can see from their flair that they have on them. Now, let's talk a little bit about the classes, because Halflings have a good set of classes here. So first and foremost, when Bard becomes available, we are going to see Bard as a selection for the Halfling class. Second to that, we're going to see Druids. Also makes a lot of sense. The Halfling, it kind of lives on the land. A Druid is very land-dwelling, respect nature, and that's kind of what a Halfling is. So really didn't expect much different from them being a Druid. We also have Ranger right along that line, more action combat, but again, living off the land among the animals and things like that makes 100% sense for the Halflings to have the ability to be both a Druid and Ranger. They also have the ability to be Rogues, also something that I think is a really good fit for them. Halflings are always really shifty, and if we look at how they're built in Pantheon, you kind of get the feeling that they have a little bit of common ground with maybe another thing in media, and I'm not going to get to that yet. We'll talk about that in just a moment. And then the last thing they can be is Warrior. Warrior's a pretty generic class. Now, in Pantheon, we aren't seeing that every class can be a Warrior because Gnomes cannot be Warriors, but Halflings are still able to be. I've always been under the assumption that a warrior probably shouldn't be every race. It's a fighter for their kind. But I guess, like I said, gnomes are sort of the outlier there. So I'm okay with them being a warrior. They're already a ranger, so you're going to take more of that melee combat style. And you're going to go ahead and throw that into throw out the bow and just go weapons and go ham. So completely okay with that. Now, as far as what do we think is going to be the most played, I'm really interested to see what everybody here says, but I'm going to go with Druid, and I'm going to go with Rogue. I think that a small stature being that can fight melee, Druid seems like a really good fit for them just in general. I just have this vision in my head playing EverQuest and having just all these little furry feet Halfling Druids running around. It just sticks in my mind. So I think that that's probably where we will see quite a bit of the Halflings. I'm going to say that we'll see more Halfling Druids or Rogues than anything else. Now, as far as other entertainment, I'm actually not going to relate Pantheon's vision of halflings to another halfling in a game. They definitely take some small things away from hobbits, which a lot of people refer to halflings as hobbits. There's the little tiny bit of how they live on the land and how their dwellings look that you can kind of think a little bit of Hobbit about. But the number one thing I think about when I look at a halfling in Pantheon is actually the Lost Boys from the movie Hook. It was the real life movie based on Peter Pan, and it had the Lost Boys, you know, Rufio, Rufio. You guys know what I'm talking about. And they all had the bright feathers and the bright colors, and they were very lively and fast and loud and boisterous. And I really see that in Pantheon, they've gotten a lot of the idea, I believe, from Hook. And I really, really like it. You know, this is another one that I think the Pantheon team has knocked out of the park. I know a lot of people will disagree with me on Gnome, but I do think that Gnome is really cool, and they took a big step out. This is not quite as big of a step. Let me be very clear about that. This isn't redesigning the class as a whole, but this is taking the core ideas of a class, not messing with it too much, and finding a really cool inspiration to make them bright, vivid, boisterous, as I said, and that fits perfectly with the movie Hook. So if you haven't seen Hook, go back and watch it a little bit, because I think that the halflings are going to be very representative of that. Hey, maybe I'm wrong. You tell me in the comments what you think. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how would I rank halflings? I like them a lot. Halfling is something that I am probably going to play one way or another. Everybody knows right now that I'm actually thinking about playing Rogue. I am probably going to play a Rogue as my main. And playing a Rogue as my main, my options right now stand at Gnome, Halfling, in now kind of Scar, but in no particular order. I gave the Scar a 6. I'm probably even prone to give them a little bit higher of a score. I gave the Gnomes an 8. I could probably even go, or maybe even a 9. I could probably even go to 10 with how much I love them. And for Halflings, I'm going to say that I don't quite love them like I love a Gnome, but I love them as a Rogue, if that makes any sense. I'm still on the fence about a Gnome being a Rogue, this glowing creature. I know we've seen streams where they're not glowing, but this glowing creature that's going to actually sneak up on people, unless it's some sort of magic style, I still have a little bit of a problem with that. So when I'm looking at the races and I'm thinking of alts, I gotta tell you that Halfling seems to be the number one that would make sense. I'm still holding on to the other two. I've not made a decision, but I'm gonna go ahead and give Halfling an 8. I love the direction they're going with it, and sort of how it feels like Hook. I want to go watch Hook. I think I'm actually, right as soon as this is done, I think I'm going to try to find Hook on TV, on demand, or on something. It's got to be out there. But I'm telling you, Rufio, that's what I think of when I think of Halflings. So that's my thoughts on the process here. It's a little different, right, with just me kind of talking, but this gives the videos a little less time. You can consume it a little quicker. But what's important is, please let me know what you think. Answer those questions. What do you think about the race? What do you think about the classes? What other media or MMO reminds you of them? Are you likely to play them? Do you care about their alignment? Again, probably very neutral. And how would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, especially in comparison to either the Pantheon races or just in general across MMOs? That's the thing about this. There's not like a guideline on why you have to rank it 1 to 10. So share your feedback in the comments. Looking forward to hear from it. Share your comments on the new format here. I know it's a little different with just me. I already talk enough as is, so you're kind of just gonna have to deal with it. You've already done that if you're following us, so thank you for that. And last but not least, if you like what we do, pretty please, hit that sub button on YouTube. We are driving towards 1,000. We get a lot of really cool features if we're able to do it. And no, it's not just monetizing everybody. There's actually a lot of cool features that come with getting to 1,000. So if you could hit that button, help us get there one sub at a time, and follow us on Twitter at PantheonPlus. It's where we put a lot of announcements out about live streams we're going to be doing, which we're going to be ramping up, our community game night, what we're playing, and just overall communicating with the community, sharing things out we see about Pantheon. So please follow us on Twitter, follow us on YouTube with that sub button, and we'll see you for the next video. Thank you guys.